Google has given the SPLC the power to deny free speech to YouTubers through flagging. In this video, I will give you 8 reasons that SPLC is corrupt and should have their authority revoked. Reason number 1. The SPLC designates obvious non-hate groups as hate groups. When I think hate groups, I think Nazis, the KKK, or the Aryan Brotherhood. If you look at the 954 hate groups that SPLC lists on its website, you will soon determine that pretty much every group that is not far left progressive is considered a hate group by the SPLC. One group listed on their website is the American Family Association. This is a group of conservative Christians. Why are they listed as a hate group? Apparently they spoke out against homosexuality. Why would they do something like this? Apparently their religious belief is that homosexuality is wrong and that people will face pretty terrible consequences in the afterlife if they act on their homosexual desires. Okay? It's not really hateful to want to help people, even if it's based on faith rather than facts. Another group listed is the Center for Immigration Studies. As far as I can tell, this group is merely an advocacy group that opposes immigration. It conducts research aimed at establishing that immigration that, whether legal or illegal, is bad for the country. The SPLC lists a bunch of quotes made by people working for the center that it believes make some sort of damning case that the Center for Immigration Studies is a hate group. I read every one of these quotes, and I don't believe a single one of them is at all racist or hateful. There are also some really bizarre choices on their list. For example, they include the Jewish Defense League as a hate group. The Jewish Defense League is a Jewish group that was established to stand up against hate groups. If you look at their website, it says their mission is standing up to hate groups, including Hitler apologists and the Nation of Islam. The SPLC also lists Nation of Islam as a hate group, as well as many different Nazi-affiliated groups. The SPLC also apparently lists the American Border Patrol as a hate group. Reason number 2. The SPLC fails to designate obvious hate groups as hate groups. One of the differences between the JDL and the SPLC is that the JDL lists Black Lives Matter as a hate group, while the SPLC does not make any mention of it. How can the SPLC not include Black Lives Matter on their hate group list? After all, 954 other groups have managed to make it on the list. Black Lives Matter is a group whose members have assassinated police officers.
Why do white people have a right to affirm their life?
Because all lives have value.
Really? How so? Why does white life have value?
Well, I think my
For
life
who?
has
White?
value.
No, excuse me. For who? Our argument is that white life is wrong.
Why?
Our argument is that we should never affirm white life. That your argument of just affirming all life in general is not good, especially not good for black people when white life itself is based off of black civilization.
So this is the second time in 2 years where an unarmed black man has been shot by a white cop, and that white cop had been already guilty of shooting another black man. So we're asking Larry Krasner on his first day to send a statement, and we're telling the mayor that the statement he released is not enough. We're not starting 2018 with this kind of stuff.
If we don't get any results, we are going to shut everything down. Your press conferences, the bridge, no matter what, expressways, the streets, we are starting the week of rage today. We want justice and transparency, or we will shut this city down.
We want to
Black vote! Black vote! Black vote! Black vote! Black vote! Black vote! Is that right? Is that white right? Right here! They white, get their ass! Hurry that bitch up! Hey! Hey, they beating up every white person!
The only reason I can find for not including this group is that the SPLC is a biased organization that ignores hatred by groups with progressive agendas. The idea that they would be trusted to objectively police hate speech on YouTube is completely ridiculous. I will play my intro now, and then I will go over the next 5 reasons. Reason number 3. The SPLC supports Sharia law and terrorism. In 2015, Islamic extremists stormed the offices of newspaper Charlie Hebdo in France and brutally assassinated 12 journalists. Instead of sympathizing with the journalist victims, the SPLC sided with the terrorist and published an article called Women Against Islam, The Dirty Dozen. This article was basically a hit list of 12 women who opposed Sharia law, who the SPLC subtly suggested should be executed like the journalists at Charlie Hebdo. The SPLC heavily criticizes at least one of these women for participating in an event where people celebrated free speech by drawing the Prophet Muhammad. This is the same justification used by the terrorist to mass murder journalists at Charlie Hebdo. Reason number 4. The SPLC is funded by George Soros. Majority of the funding by the SPLC comes from George Soros. This is the same clown I have been criticizing for overhauling our justice system in the US by pouring massive cash donations to prop up far-left progressive district attorney candidates. I don't see how any organization that answers to George Soros can be considered neutral and fair. Instead, I would expect any such group to be partisan and shameless in censoring those that oppose his progressive agenda. George Soros does not care about free speech, and he has donated extensively to groups that support outlawing any speech that offends minorities. Reason number 5. The SPLC has a track record of making false reports. According to an article from the New York Post, the SPLC is willing to post obviously false and misleading reports and statistics. The article specifically talks about a claim that the SPLC made that 40% of educators indicated that they heard racist or hateful comments made by students following the election of Donald Trump. The conclusion we are supposed to reach is President Trump's election has made our children racist. Of course, the SPLC suppressed the fact that 20% of the respondents in fact indicated that the racist comments they heard were actually directed at white people and not minorities. No attempt by the SPLC was made to verify any of the claims made by these anonymous educators, and they refused to release the underlying data to the New York Post. In fact, the SPLC has become so radical and out of touch that even progressive news outlets such as Political are calling them out for being partisan hacks. Reason number 6. Censorship is wrong. We can all agree that the government should not deny anyone free speech. We should also criticize corporations and monolithic tech companies who aim to do the same. One of the founders of classical liberalism, the ideology that the US government is based off of, is John Stuart Mill. John Stuart Mill opposed not only government tyranny, but social tyranny. If you believe in freedom of speech, you should oppose people being booted off YouTube for expressing ideas and opinions. Yet this is exactly the agenda of the SPLC. They want to censor political opponents. Reason number 7. There appears to be a plot to take down certain YouTubers. Right Wing Watch is a group apparently credible enough that Google includes their articles in their news aggregation. Right Wing Watch may seem separate from the SPLC, but they are both primarily funded by George Soros. I would consider them part of the same George Soros political empire. One thing Right Wing Watch has publicized recently is the debate between Sargon of Akkad, a classical liberal, and Richard Spencer, a leading figure of the alt-right. Right Wing Watch suggests that Sargon and his debate partner, Sticks and Hammer, purposely offered incredibly weak pushback to the arguments of Spencer so that the alt-right could claim a huge victory in the debate. As someone who has watched this debate, I must say this characterization is an outrageous lie. This was a very bitter debate that was argued passionately, especially on the side of the classical liberals. It is obvious that the article is less concerned with going after Richard Spencer and the alt-right than it is with attacking Sargon of Akkad, Sticks, and Andy Warski, who was the moderator of the debate. Sure enough, shortly after this article was posted, Sargon of Akkad ended up locked out of his YouTube account, and Andy Warski has since been banned off YouTube. The SPLC is likely responsible for this. Reason number 8. The SPLC exaggerates its reputation with law enforcement. The SPLC likes to act like it's some sort of unofficial branch of law enforcement. The group constantly mentions on their website and in press releases how they partner with the FBI and law enforcement to monitor hate groups. The truth is that the SPLC is no friend of law enforcement. For example, they will throw law enforcement under the bus the second they start helping Immigrations and Customs Enforcement enforce the law. The SPLC eagerly reported that an Alabama police department, during a 5-year period, systemically planted drugs and guns on black people to frame them for various crimes. It accused the members of this police department of all belonging to a white supremacist hate group. The SPLC later had to retract this story. They admitted the only evidence that their original report was based off of was a single picture showing members of the police department standing in front of a Confederate flag. That was it. Apparently, some of the officers are related to men who fought in the Confederate Army. However, there is zero evidence supporting any claim that any of these officers harbor any sort of pro-Confederacy or racist beliefs. There was also not a single piece of evidence that supported the claim that officers had ever planted drugs or guns on a suspect. Not even a single incident. That did not stop the SPLC from making up outrageous lies about these officers. The SPLC is absolutely not a friend of law enforcement. So these have been 8 reasons why the SPLC is a corrupt organization that is not fit to police speech on YouTube. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and hit the like button.